Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Robinhood markets. It is time for another update, and today we'll be discussing the failure to extend further higher to the upside within this wave 3, as well as the implications of the extension that has so far occurred within this wave 4 for the short and the large time frame, and yet what that really tells us, the preferences that we should now be tracking, which have changed. We aren't necessarily tracking the impulse to the upside as the main scenario anymore. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are still basically tracking this as a 1-2 setup, where now we are looking for a much larger wave 3 to be unfolding. And previously we were focusing on this white scenario where we were tracking an impulse to be forming to the upside, where we had a series of 1-2 setups in this area, and we were looking to build a follow-up wave 3 in this movement to the upside. Now, this wave 3 must achieve a couple of things. Firstly, it should get to the ideal target for a wave 3, which is the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, in this case around the $255-$57 level. The 138.2% extension is right here. And secondly, this must be formed within an impulse to the upside. So far, neither of these expectations have been fulfilled, and we have started a quite significantly larger correction in the wave 4 than any of the movements, any of the corrections we can match within this pattern to the upside so far, which really is suggesting to us that we should be watching out for a failure of this scenario and a higher dominance of the yellow interpretation, in which from a large time frame perspective we are still tracking here a 1-2 setup, but in that case we are tracking a larger leading diagonal to the upside, where in that case we have an ABC pattern in the wave 1, and we have here an ABC pattern in the wave 2, that is regardless in both cases anyway. But then we are tracking in the third wave to the upside an ABC structure, in which case this movement, this larger wave 3, could easily be considered complete, and we should already start looking for the larger correction in the wave 4, in which case we really only have support starting from the 76. Let me see if I drew this correctly actually. But around the $76.3 all the way down to the $24.6 level. And as you may notice, this is even below the beginning of the support area, is even below the last level of support that we are tracking here for the white interpretation, the $84 level. So we are looking at a quite serious extension within this correction, and not only that, we should also be watching out for a large and long downtrend within this correction, as in this wave 2 it has taken like a year to actually complete the entire correction. Something similar may occur within this wave 4 correction that we could be tracking here in the yellow scenario. Now in this area, since within the wave C we can easily have a full count within a diagonal pattern that will be outside of the interpretation in which we are tracking the white scenario, within which we must track an impulse, and for the white scenario we must hold here the 50% retracement. Now, since we have already extended so much within this wave 4, out of proportions with either this wave 2 or this wave 2 or any of the wave 2 we could track within this area, we could still allow it to play out. We could still be tracking this area of support, and for example here at the 38.2% retracement we even have some structural support as well. It could still work out, it could still manage to push and form even new all-time highs, but I am a little bit more skeptical about this pattern forming here to the upside. And while on the other charts we may form, because on many of the charts we are actually looking for a near-term correction bottom and continuation to new all-time highs, on this chart we may get something like an ABC pattern to the downside, and then we may only form a lower high and then continue in our larger downtrend, while the other stocks, they may form a new all-time high instead. We may form here a lower high. Now, even if we actually form something like a 3-wave move to the upside and form a new all-time high, it could easily be tracked as part of the correction in the wave 4, an overshoot, or an extension within the wave C interpretation, because honestly within this white scenario we need at all costs to form a 5-wave structure to the upside. Even if it is a diagonal pattern, it is fine, but it must be a 5-wave move. And if we fail to get that, well, looking out for further extensions within an impulse would be actually highly unlikely to play out. And in that case, we must look, or we must find a bottom very quickly within this white scenario, where I am at the moment tracking an ABC structure, where in the wave C I actually still need an additional low to have a full pattern. Now, indeed, we may find a completion of this structure in maybe a WXY, in which case, yeah, we may be able to get a full 5-wave move to the downside, or not 5-wave move, a full ABC structure to the downside within this area. Although I have to say, it is not my preferred interpretation, and I would rather see the yellow scenario playing out, or at least getting another low within this area, yeah, ideally to the 38.2% extension, before we start a relief rally, if not the larger fifth wave to the upside in the white interpretation. And in that case, yeah, I am focusing here on the ABC structure, where in the wave C, I am looking for a 5-wave move, where to the downside we have so far only formed, actually we should be tracking this in orange probably, yeah, a different color than either of them, because this applies for both scenarios, but we have so far formed the third wave to the downside, and we have actually even gotten to the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 quite perfectly, and this indicates to us that this movement to the downside in the wave 3 is likely done, but we should be prepared for a follow-up wave 4 and then a fifth wave still to come, and that is applicable as long as we stay here below the area of support between the $109.8 level all the way up to the $123.5 level at the 61.8% retracement, where a break above those levels would indicate that this movement to the downside is done. Yeah, not necessarily the larger correction. I want that to be extremely clear. If we break here above the $123.5 level, I'm not saying this correction is done and that we bottom here in a wave 4 and that we are looking for the fifth wave to the upside. It is only indicating that this movement is done, where, yeah, we may have a wave A complete, we could be looking for a B wave, and then still continuation in the larger correction to the downside easily. Yeah, and for now, there aren't any other relevant levels to be tracking. Yeah, these are the core levels. For resistance, we have the orange scenario. For support, we have the white scenario, and for the larger time frame, the yellow scenario support zone. But for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.